to another episode. Now today is another part 2 to a video I've already done, I'll link it above, where I was sharing some differences between life in the UK and life here in the south of Italy especially. So today I want to continue because there's a few more differences that I want to talk about, especially if you're thinking of coming to Italy, because you don't want to get these wrong. So let's get into it, shall we? Difference I want to talk about in this video is when it comes to the use of the word bar. Now, bar in English typically means somewhere you go to have an alcoholic drink like wine, sometimes a nice beer, something like this. It's always linked to alcohol. But over here, you will hear Italians talking about going to the bar at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, they're not a bunch of drunkards. Bar over here in Italian literally means coffee shop or cafe. So when we talk about going to the bar here in Italy, we are talking about going to a cafe or a coffee shop. But they do also serve alcoholic beverages, especially later in the day. People will go to these places for aperitivos, which is where there's wine or spritz or beer. So they do have that element too, but predominantly they are coffee shops and cafes. So this is the first difference to note, because when I first moved here, it was something that I was like, a bar? There's a bar everywhere. Why is everybody talking about going to the bar? And then I very quickly learnt what it was. So yes, bar, cafe or coffee shop, not exclusively a place to get drunk. Okay. The next difference that I want to talk to you about between life in the UK and life in the south of Italy is when it comes to travel. So I'm from London initially, so a lot of my examples are in comparison to London because that is where I'm from. But when you travel on a train in London, typically you buy your ticket and you normally go through like a ticket barrier, and that's their way of making sure that you have the right to travel, okay? Here in Italy, you don't normally have these barriers unless you're going on the metro, which is the equivalent of the London Underground, the tube, in the UK. So for this, what you have to do is when you buy your ticket, if you buy it from a machine, for example, at the train station, you have to validate it. Now, I could not get my head around this when I first travelled on a train here, but this is what you need to do. So you need to take it to one of these machines. They have these little machines positioned everywhere in the train stations before you go onto the platform, and you need to insert your ticket, and it basically stamps it to say with the date and the time, which means that you cannot then go on to use that same ticket another day or for another journey. It basically means that ticket is exclusively for that use. So you have to do this when you have ticket inspectors on the train. If they don't see it validated, they may well have a bit of a conversation with you about that, and then they will validate it manually. But yes, this is something you definitely need to do, especially for the trains and also for the buses. Now, I think this is kind of how it is now in the UK. You can't buy tickets on the bus itself anymore like you once could. You need to buy them beforehand from like the news agents or the tobacconista or tobacchi, I think they're called here, which is a similar sort of shop. This is where you can buy bus tickets, and they vary. This is one thing to consider. You have different tickets depending on the trip you're going on. So it's worthwhile if you're coming here, especially on holiday, or even if you live here, specifying where you're going, because you will find that there are different routes, and also for buses as well, different bus operators. So you have SITA, which is like the private bus operator. You have Bus Italia, which is the publicly state-funded bus operator. So they each have different tickets. They're not interchangeable. You cannot use them on each other's buses. So you need to specify where you're going to get the right ticket. And then when you have your ticket, you get onto the bus and you have to validate it in the machine. There's usually 1 or 2 positioned on the bus. You need to do that because, again, you can find yourself in bother if a ticket inspector gets on and wants to know why your ticket isn't validated. So this is a big difference to life in the UK, because Normally your tickets are checked before you even board the train or the bus, but here it is different. Okay, so another difference between life in the UK and life in the south of Italy is when it comes to visiting swimming pools. Now we're talking about public swimming baths, so not like the pools that you'll find in Lidos or part of hotels, but public swimming baths. Now, if you want to go to a public swimming bath in the UK, you literally just turn up, pay your fee and off you go. But in Italy, it doesn't work that way. You cannot just turn up and use a swimming pool. You have to go through a medical procedure before you are allowed to even register at a swimming pool. And even then, it's a whole process because they operate on select opening hours, and there are various other restrictions they've put in place for COVID. But yes, the predominant factor is you cannot go into a swimming pool unless you have had a medical examination for your doctor to say that you are fit and well to use the pool. And this is something that I was like, I cannot get my head around. In the UK, you can just go for a swim whenever you feel like it. But no, this is the deal here. And to wear a swim cap is compulsory as well in all swimming pools. So again, I don't remember that in the UK. I didn't really use public swimming pools a lot because I don't like the chlorine in the water. But I don't remember the swimming cap being compulsory. It was recommended, but I don't remember it being compulsory. If I'm wrong, please comment below, educate me. But yes, you must have a medical here to go and use a public swimming pool. And I was like, but why? We don't do this in the UK. And then someone told me it's a way for Italy to make money. No comment. So the next difference between life in the UK and life in the south of Italy is when it comes to commuting. So when you travel from home to work every day, it's very normal in the UK to spend some time traveling, maybe 30 minutes up to an hour, and sometimes some people travel even further than that as well. But here in Italy, if you spend longer than say 30 minutes to get to work, people think you work on the other side of the world. It's amazing. Like, the way of life here, especially in the south of Italy, is that people like to live and work close to each other. And if you have to commute for a long period of time, people are amazed. How do you do it? How did you travel for so long? I used to commute to Naples for 2 years every day for my work, and everybody just couldn't believe it. It was like I had 10 heads every time I told them about it. So, you know, it's very different here. Like, people have a very relaxed way of living, if you like, and they like their work and their home to be very close to one another. So yes, this is a big difference. I'm used to commuting. For me, doing the journey to Naples every day, it didn't used to bother me, but of course, waking up so early was the big factor that made me decide that I wanted to do something different. But the actual journey itself never really used to bother me because I used to commute always when I lived in the UK for whatever job I had. So yes, this is a big difference. Life here is much more relaxed, a much slower pace, which I've spoken about in my other video. And for this, work and home are fairly close to one another. So another difference between life in the UK and life here in Italy, and I've kind of touched on it before in some of my other videos, but refunds are not readily available. So just brace yourself for this, because I'm not sure it's a word that even exists in the Italian vocabulary, and I love Italy, but to get your money back after you paid for something is terribly difficult and requires a lot of negotiation if you are lucky to even reach that stage. When you buy something, you need to be very careful that what you're buying is the right item. I've had many moments, including one quite recently where I bought the Apple wireless charger, which actually, please don't waste your money. It's a load of rubbish. And not only that, but Apple have recognised that it's not a very good charger, and now you have to buy another case to go on your phone to help the charger to operate better. I love this hand gesture so much. So don't waste your money if you're considering buying it. But that aside, I took it back to my expert, which is, I don't know what it would be the equivalent of in the UK, one of our big electrical shops, like a Currys. Is Currys still even in business? I think it is. Like a Currys in the UK. And they were like, so I was like, it's not working properly. Nothing they can do. So yes, just be very careful with what you buy here. Put a lot of thought into it. Read reviews about what you're buying if you're spending quite a bit of money, because refunds, they just don't happen here in Italy. Not very easily anyway. I'm yet to meet somebody who's had a refund. If you've been successful and got a refund, please comment below. I want to hear your story. So these are some more differences about life in the UK and life in the south of Italy. It's a very light-hearted take. I love life here, as I'm sure you can guess from my videos. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, watch some of my other content, tell me what you think, and I will see you next time.